this video, we are going to be looking at 50 Sister, Gail McNeill. So I see healthy aging, tagged with healthy aging, and I see plants. So already, yeah, you could probably see that this is not healthy aging. This is the last thing that you want to do if you actually want to age healthy, because I can explain this a myriad of ways, but it's, once again, all of the science. If you're really interested in how this works scientifically from a biochemistry perspective, go check out the Science Behind Carnivore playlist. But I'll be reviewing her and I'll be explaining some of the science along the way, so you could see exactly why.
I thought I'd share this story whilst I'm prepping all my tomatoes to make sun-kissed tomatoes. Check out all of these beautiful tomatoes. I don't know.
All right, well, I guess we'll start. So, you want to expose yourself and you want to age yourself quicker? Well, okay, she's got quite a bit of gray hair. I don't know how old she is, but if she's 55, she's already aged probably 20 years more than my mom. My mom does not have a single gray hair, and she's 65 years old. So this is one way to make yourself age quicker. That's first thing. Second thing, tomatoes, what do they have in them? Tomatoes have phytotoxins in them. They have many phytotoxins in them. And just to give a list of some of the phytotoxins, which can definitely not be helpful, oxalates, they will steal your calcium, which you don't want, because stealing your calcium is not healthy. It's not good when phytotoxins are stealing your minerals. Second thing, you can have plenty of other things, like things that generate reactive oxygen species. Now, this is going to be a little bit complicated. Is you are exposing yourself to things that generate reactive oxygen species because they will stimulate an inflammatory response one way or another, and they could do this a lot of ways. One of them could be causing an autoimmune problem, for instance, because lectins, for instance, will bind to the carbohydrate, the surface of the cell, and bind to a carbohydrate on it, and then it'll trigger an autoimmune response, and your body will freak out because it'll get a signal where it's like, oh my God, this shouldn't be happening. So your immune system comes in, and your immune system does not want to be coming in, because once again, if you've seen your immune system's sort of a druggie. That's the best way to put it. Not good. He helps out, and he's a really good force and a really strong force to be reckoned with, but you don't want his help all the time because he really causes a lot of damage in the process. So in this case, you're stimulating all these inflammatory responses over and over again, and that isn't healthy. You don't want to be doing that. Second thing we already know is not only that, they have fiber in them, and fiber, especially for your gut, is absolutely terrible. If you're like me, for instance, and you have gut autoimmune issues, or even Kent Carnivore for that matter, who has it even worse, and he lost his colon because of fiber. This is the last thing you want to add to your diet, because fiber will only make all of this way, way, way worse. And I really do mean way, way, way worse, because what it'll end up doing is it'll say, hey, you know what? I'm going to damage your gut lining along the way, and I'm going to make everything much, much harder to be processed. Yes, that's right. Constipation increases when you increase fiber. And how do we know that? Well, we already know, as well as a lot of other things like anal bleeding, bloating, stomach pain, stomach cramps, all of that increased by fiber. And the study had 66 or 63 people, and there was three groups. There's either one group which had tons of people who had lots of fiber, the second group had people with residual fiber, not too much fiber, and the third group had people with no fiber. And lo and behold, what ended up happening? First group ended up being completely screwed over, because all of their problems, constipation, stomach bloating, stomach pain, anal bleeding, stomach cramps, all of that just went through the roof, and it skyrocketed. And that was supposed to be the opposite of the hypothesis. The second thing was, well, okay, what about the middle fiber group? They must have had it worse, right? No, in fact, they had every single one of those symptoms less. And take a guess about the no fiber group. That's right, they had none of them, not one. So once again, that's why you don't want fiber. This is not a good start.
Well, I'm going to cut a really long story short, because it's a long story. I went to the doctor, and after lots of tests, they discovered that I had, which is where the butternut squash comes in, a tumour or a mass this big in my tummy. Now imagine that, that's pretty big. And
Well, you can get rid of that two ways. Well, one way specifically. I guess in her case, she did it going vegan, which would reduce the level of insulin. Or the second way that you can reduce this is by going carnivore. You can do it both ways. It'll be much more effective if you go carnivore because, once again, you are stimulating glucagon, making insulin most certainly not dominate. And when you make insulin not dominate, yeah, that's right, you guessed it, that means that cancerous cell can't survive because cancerous cells can't use fatty acid and ketones as fuel sources. They have to use glucose. And if you just keep lowering that glucose level over and over and over and over again, cancerous cell ain't gonna live. And there's a lot of plenty of stories of people who managed to lose that cancer. And Thomas Seyfried even proved it. It's all based on a mitochondrial dysfunction. And that means you can really screw with it because you know its energy source. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. Again, Science Behind Carnivore playlist.
And it turned out that it was a tumor on my ovary.
So first off, yes, will this help? It probably will, especially if your diet was definitely not that good before. And clearly it doesn't seem like it was that good. Would going vegan help? It could probably help because you will definitely be lowering the amount of insulin, oddly enough. Yes, that might sound strange. But when you mix carbohydrate and you mix fat, you stimulate the insulin to glucagon ratio extremely high. So once again, does it help? Did it work for her during that time? Yes. Is she gonna be able to continue to keep that up and age healthy? No, definitely not. And as we can see, she doesn't have too many regular hair left. They're pretty much all gray. They are pretty much all gray.
I started to do lots of research and all roads led to veganism.
You see what I mean? This, once again, you're not a jack of all trades. You will suffer the curse. You will suffer the curse of the internet. This is what happens. You try to navigate the internet without being a jack of all trades. You are bound, and I mean bound, to not find the answer because it's very difficult to find. It's very, very difficult to find. You can't find. How do you know how to solve your problem if you don't even know where to look? The internet isn't going to be the best place because if you type in Google, just type in Google is LDL cholesterol unhealthy, or type in LDL cholesterol, and I can guarantee you're going to get tons of things that are like, you should keep your LDL below this. LDL cholesterol is very unhealthy. Like, it's not true because if you really, really do your research and you like get a little too obsessed like I did, spending really unhealthy amounts of time on the internet, like 12 to 14 hours every single day, not just playing video games, but also learning. In my case, it was a lot of learning as well. You will learn that all of this is BS, like 100% BS. This is not the healthiest option. Eating meat is by far the healthiest option, and it's what all of our ancestors did as well. We can just see carnivory, especially among Homo sapiens, early Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, which are basically Middle Pleistocene Homo sapiens, early Homo sapiens like Homo habilis, Homo erectus, all of them hypercarnivorous. Their tools were developed for hypercarnivory. They were developed to kill things very well. And once again, this is not healthy.
100% plant-based. And I've got to be honest, I wasn't really very thrilled about that because I like the taste of meat. I like cooking meat.
Of course you like the taste of meat. It has fat. It has all your taste receptors are picking up on things that you need, like cholesterol. It's like, oh, I wonder why I need that, because it turns out cholesterol's mandatory in order to make estrogen, or the three kinds of estrogen: estrone, estradiol, estriol. It's mandatory in making DHT and testosterone, which are the two androgens. It's really important in making aldosterone, which is important in regulating blood pressure. It's important in making cortisone and corticosterone, cortisol and corticosterone, which are, once again, glucocorticoids. Very important when it comes to managing anxiety. Important in pregnenolone and allopregnenolone, one of which is very important in mood, and the other is very important in pregnancy and actually carrying a baby. So this is just, once again, it's sad.
However, I read all of these people saying that after 2 weeks they felt absolutely amazing, incredible, fantastic. They were all slim and they all looked exceptionally healthy.
Okay. Did they look attractive? That's the first thing I would ask. I wouldn't ask slimness. I definitely wouldn't ask slimness because if you see the slimness of their body, there's a pretty good chance they were emaciated. Because there's a lot of emaciated vegans, and I mean a lot of them. And there's a reason, because they can't get enough amino acids, because they're not getting enough protein. Because even if that carrot has 10 grams of protein, I don't care how much it has, it's not bioavailable, and it's not even in the right quantities in terms of amino acids, because amino acids are always based on the weakest link of the weakest essential amino acid. So if you only have one tyrosine and then you have a million other of the essential amino acids, doesn't matter. You're only making one protein because you have one tyrosine. So it's like, once again, not healthy.
So I decided to give it a go for 2 weeks. That's all I was going to do, give it a go for 2 weeks. Even though all of the evidence is there that a plant-based diet is an extremely healthy choice for longevity. After 2 weeks...
This is what I mean. Jack of all trades, become a jack of all trades. Learn science. You cannot navigate the world correctly, or expect to navigate the world correctly and get the results that you're expecting if you do not understand the science. This doesn't just apply to the world. I mean, especially when it comes to whether or not game theory, like learn game theory in order to understand how to interact with people better and understand people's motives. And it's like, not everybody's the same. Like, sure, some people are very nice out there and some people are definitely not so nice. Know what the best strategy is for game theory because you can apply it to everyday life. Know how politics works. But once again, it all comes down to understanding the world and how the world works. You have to understand the world works, because even in terms of politics, it doesn't just come down to politics. Politics also, that game of politics that politicians plays also is the exact same game that every single business plays. And even the homeowners association. Like if you have a homeowners association, they play the exact same game. It all comes down to understanding the world. And if you don't understand the world, you will suffer one way or another. You can be ignorant. You can turn a blind eye to the world, but you cannot turn a blind eye to the consequences, because they always catch up to you no matter what you do.
Well, in fact, it didn't even take 2 weeks. I think after about 10 days, I felt so incredible that I decided that there was no going back. Prior to giving up dairy, I'd had loads of pain, lots and lots of pain in my hips and my fingers. And as soon as I gave up dairy, well, within about 5 days, all of that pain disappeared, completely gone.
Once again, it's sad. It's sad. But hey, this is what happens when you're not a jack of all trades. Become a generalist, especially in the age of AI. Please, God, become a generalist, especially during this time, because AI, I think, and in my opinion, is just going to replace tons of specialists. All these people, all these musicians, all of these researchers, all of these, doesn't matter what you are, AI replaces you. And now it's not about necessarily what you know, but it's about how to apply what you know. So once again, this is not healthy. All of this stuff you don't want to do. Biochemistry behind all of this is we already know this isn't true.
It wasn't cancerous, and I did make a full recovery after a full oophorectomy. That's having your ovaries removed. But
ouch. Once again. Oh man. That's sad. That's bad. That's sad, and it's bad. Cholesterol. You need enough cholesterol. If you don't have enough cholesterol, I'm not surprised that estrone, estradiol, and estriol are going to be a little bit out of whack, and the female reproductive organs are going to be maybe not necessarily in the right direction, or maybe just constant stimulation of phytoestrogens or microplastics that also have estrogen affinity. Like, all of these are just so damaging. And the more you expose yourself to this, the more you damage yourself. So that's why you don't want phytoestrogens. You don't want any sort of microplastic stuff. Avoid it as much as you possibly can. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, and if she's 55 and she looks like this, that's not too good. That is definitely not too good. My mom's 10 years younger. 10 years older, and she doesn't have a single gray hair. So, and she pretty much has a similar face. Okay, so hopefully you learn once again what not to do, because this is not healthy at all. Is it healthier than the standard American diet? Yeah, it is. As you can see, she's graying out completely at 55 years old. Not a good start. That's a pretty bad start. She had a tumor, and where do you get those tumors? Well, once again, phytoestrogens or even microplastics can definitely contribute to that. A lack of cholesterol, because cholesterol is very essential in maintaining all of the sex steroid hormones like estrone, estradiol, estriol, allopregnanolone, and pregnenolone. Don't have those in balance, and problems definitely will happen. Once again, menopause, that's not that pain sort of state. That's PMS, PCOS, all that stuff, not normal. Once again, it's crazy. It really is crazy. People think this stuff is normal. This is not normal. A lot of this stuff isn't normal. You can get rid of all of this. But you have to just actually change the diet. And then after you change the diet, you have to stick to it. It's not really actually that difficult to stick to, in my opinion, as long as you enjoy what you're eating. I've been like this for 2 years. I don't plan on changing at all. So yeah, it's really not that difficult. As long as you eat every single part of the animal, or at the very least you're adding eggs in, and you're adding a couple other things in which balance out certain things, because you can't eat all the organs of the animal because you can't find them at the store or something, then yeah. Once again, thanks for watching. I hope you found the video informative or helpful, and you can see this is not what you want to do if you want to be healthy and actually keep your hair to not be gray, because this is not a good start. This is definitely not a good start. If you're interested in more videos like this, then click the join button down below where you can see all of my videos ahead of time. And if you want to show your appreciation, please like, subscribe, comment, and share the video, because it really does help the channel grow. So once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Peace.